Dear Sagittarius, there are days when you don't understand why you suddenly stop in the middle of a life that keeps rushing forward. No one calls your name. There's no clear event to explain it. Just one skipped heartbeat, as if your soul had just heard something more important than all the noise outside. And if you're here, it's not by coincidence. It is the first whisper from your intuition, the one you've learned to ignore for far too long. No one called you, but you knew you needed to listen. If you're here, it's not accidental. It's because your soul has spoken. Not with words, not through logic, but through a small fracture in the light you once believed was real. You are Sagittarius, born to move, to explore, to trust in the goodness waiting at every new bend in the road. But this time, a path is calling you to turn around, with a familiar softness, with words sweet like the golden hour sun, with someone who once made you believe they've changed. But the truth is, not everything gentle is love. Not every hug is a shelter. And not every meeting is meant for you. Some encounters exist only to test your trust. Some handshakes exist only to pull your arrow off course. And that is why you are here, before tomorrow arrives. Before you walk into a place where light seems present, but is actually just a white shadow wearing the garment of memory. This is not a prophecy. It is a gentle warning from the universe, a whisper beneath your chest every time you feel lost in something that once seemed so certain. If lately you've been waking up with a weight in your chest, if you once thought you had moved on, but your heart still stirs when that name is spoken, it's not because you're weak. It's because a part of you still wants to save the past, even when you know it no longer wants to be saved. Tomorrow is not just another day. It is a crossroads, a test, an invitation hidden beneath the cloak of sentiment. And you, Sagittarius, you are standing before that door, not because someone led you there, but because within you, a certain echo still lingers unresolved. Stop, because there is something you need to know before you take another step. There is a place you must absolutely not return to, not because it once hurt you, but because now it wears the mask of kindness, and you, with your wide-open heart and your eyes that still want to believe in goodness, are easily drawn in. That person may smile. They may send a message simply asking, "How have you been?" They may invite you to a meeting disguised as a clearing of misunderstandings, as there's nothing left to lose, so let's have a peaceful ending. But behind that tenderness is a strategy. Not love, not remorse, but a re-establishing of control in a connection you already stepped away from. And why does this warning come to you right now? Because you are Sagittarius. You love freedom, but you also love the truth. And that is exactly what makes you return so easily to the places that once destroyed you. Just to prove you've forgiven, you've overcome, you hold no bitterness. But some doors, when opened again, do not lead you into light. They push you back into the haze, into the foggy terrain where your old selves once wept quietly. That place, it is no longer yours. And you knew that the moment the door cracked open. You thought you were stronger now. But sometimes, true strength is knowing when to stop. When to say no to a meeting that seems harmless, yet your soul has been flashing red signs without pause. Have you been sleeping poorly lately? Do you feel unsettled at the thought of running into them? Do you think, maybe I should go just to say goodbye with grace? Don't, because you're being tested, not by them, but by the universe. This is not a time to prove your nobility. It is a time to protect the sacred ground you've purified within your soul. That meeting, if it happens, will not bring healing. It will bring a new kind of disturbance. A space where you'll be watched, remembered, and quoted later. Not with love, but with fragmented words serving a narrative that was never written for you. There are 3 types of energies surrounding that meeting. 3 masks you've seen before, but never dared to remove. One person always appears gentle, but their eyes constantly scan. Another remains silent, yet inside is a machine of observation and interpretation. And another speaks very little, but every word is weighed precisely to soften you at the right spot. No one raises their voice, no one forces you, yet all of them are a test for the part of your trust that was once broken. Judgment, calculation, silent scrutiny. One of them won't say a word, they'll just watch. But they feed on analyzing every subtle movement you make. They don't come to understand you. They come to redefine you in the way they need. not in the truth of who you really are. And you, Sagittarius, because you always want to understand others, because you always believe maybe this time they've changed, you become the innocent piece in a game that was never yours to begin with. But you won't fall for it, not this time. Because now there's a part of you that has awakened, a part that no longer needs an explanation, no longer wants to hear another reason. You owe no one a handshake. You owe the past no second chance. And most of all, you owe yourself no more moments of soft surrender. I used to think I had to face things to overcome them. I used to believe that staying until the end of a relationship, even if it hurt, was the path to healing. But there were times when I realized letting go in silence was the most noble act I could offer my soul. And I understood that truth most clearly after returning, only to leave with the ache of a single thought. I wish I hadn't gone. Not everyone who calls you is someone you should meet again. Sometimes that call comes not from love, but from their own insecurity. Not every polite gesture leads to peace. Sometimes, declining to meet someone is how you keep your soul intact. Closure does not always require going back. Some doors are meant to stay closed with just a whisper, "I am already whole." If tomorrow, someone suddenly texts you, if someone unexpectedly invites you to a place that once felt familiar, if you feel even a flicker of confusion inside, remember this. You don't need to go back to prove that you've changed. You only need to stay still to recognize that you no longer belong there. For a soul like Sagittarius, always facing forward, always seeking meaning beyond the wreckage, the deepest pain isn't betrayal. It's realizing that your honest heart accidentally gave room to manipulation dressed in kindness. You once believed that when someone said, "I understand you," it meant they'd walk through the same fire. But not always. Some people use the word empathy as a key to enter your sacred space, not to share it, but to reshape your thoughts to fit a script they already wrote. You stayed silent. You surrendered. You didn't push back because you thought they've hurt too, and you didn't want to hurt them more. But in the end, you were the one left quietly tending your own wounds. And there was a time you overlooked the one standing quietly on the sidelines. No blame, no protest. Just silently remembering everything you ever said in your most vulnerable moments. You thought they were silent out of respect. But one day, you realized they were only waiting for the chance to repeat those words and build a version of you that no longer exists. No shouting, no spectacle. But every word they said afterward made you feel like you had to justify, had to explain, had to apologize for growing, for becoming stronger, for no longer being the obedient version of yourself they preferred. And so, your growth became a crime in the eyes of those who never wanted you to change. Then, there was the one so gentle they made you feel guilty for setting boundaries. They didn't do anything wrong. They just reminded you of beautiful memories, of warm days gone by, making you wonder, was I too cold? But you could feel it. Beneath that gentleness was a fear of losing control, a desperate pull to bring you back to a version of you where they once held power, where they knew exactly how to silence you. And amid all of this, you began to understand. Not everyone deserves to walk beside you now, even if they were once part of your light. Not everything you remember about someone is the full truth of who they are. And not everyone deserves a second chance just because they know how to call you back with soft, sweet words. Sagittarius, you don't owe anyone an explanation for why you chose silence, for why you declined an invitation, or why you no longer wish to walk into old spaces. Some departures don't require goodbyes. Some boundaries aren't drawn to punish, but to protect the clarity you've just reclaimed. Your heart is still wide, still kind, but now, you're no longer soft for those who only reach for you when they need you, and withdraw when you're the one falling. You no longer mistake compassion for obligation, and you no longer offer forgiveness as a favor, when what you need most is to hold on to yourself. The truth is, you still love them, those who were once part of your becoming. But now you love them in silence, from a distance that lets you honor the past without repeating the lesson. And that, Sagittarius, is what a truly awakened soul understands at this moment in time. Not all things soft are safe. Not every voice calling you back is meant for you, and not every wound needs the one who made it to return in order for it to heal. You are already enough, even if no one ever says it out loud. You are already radiant, even if their eyes refuse to see. And you are already strong, strong enough to stand tall, even when old voices still whisper behind your back, telling you you're wrong. But they don't know you've learned how to move forward without needing anyone's approval. They don't know that once a Sagittarius draws the bow, no plea can stop the arrow from flying. And the most beautiful thing is, you have no regrets. There's an old saying, you cannot fly if you're still holding on to the rope that once bound you. And you, Sagittarius, a soul born to walk, to roam, to live wide in the stretch of your honest heart, you are now learning the most sacred lesson of this time, the art of saying no. But you don't say no as an act of angry severing. You say no as a ceremony of release, a silent affirmation that it's time to stop returning to a place that has stopped growing. Maybe you once thought, if I'm strong enough, I'll go back, smile, shake hands, end things with grace. But the truth is, sometimes the most graceful thing is to quietly walk away, not to win, not to appear noble, but to protect the part of you that has been healing in silence and is finally whole. Some invitations come too late. Some meetings arrive after your heart has already stitched itself back together. And if you say yes just out of politeness, out of nostalgia, out of fear that they'll feel abandoned, then what you are abandoning is yourself. Many will not understand why you choose silence. They'll think you're avoiding, you're hardened, you're indifferent. But they don't know. You forgave long ago. You just no longer have any reason to return to a space where you had to silence your intuition to keep the peace. To others, saying no is the end. To you, Sagittarius, it's a comma, opening the next chapter. You are not running away. You are soaring. Soaring toward the path of real light, where you don't need to explain why you're different now, why you're quiet, why you don't need an apology to find closure. They will call you changed. And you will smile, because they're right. You have changed. Not into someone hardened, but into someone who no longer needs others to validate their worth. There was a time when you woke in the night with your heart clenching because a message didn't come. There was a time you sat for hours wondering, am I too cruel if I leave without a word? There was a time you still thought, I need to go back and close it properly so I don't carry emotional debt. But now, you no longer need to go back to finish anything. You don't need anyone to play the role of the one who ends it, because the ending, it already happened a long time ago. And what you're doing now is not walking away. It's allowing yourself to move forward. You know something? Letting go doesn't mean you've stopped loving. It simply means you've decided to love yourself correctly. First, you are not stepping away because you're cold. You are walking away because you finally understand. Your worth is no longer honored in the place you once called safe. That is not pride. That is awakening. An awakening is gentle as the sunrise after a long mist-covered night. You will remember. You'll remember the beautiful memories. You'll remember their voice. You'll remember believing that everything could still be repaired. But now, you no longer cling to those things as a reason to return. You hold those memories like extinguished stars, not to reignite them, but to remind yourself that you once shone brightly, and now you deserve a whole new sky. In the coming days, you might feel empty. That's normal. Not because you lack, but because you have made space in your soul to be filled with what's truly meant for you. You are clearing room, not for someone to return, but for the new version of yourself to step forward, free, authentic, and brave. If you're listening to this with quiet tears falling, please know you are not weak. You are being born again, in the sacred silence of release. And you will no longer be the one who forgives just to keep the peace. You will become the one who knows that sometimes silence is the most powerful voice of freedom. You didn't come here to hold on to things that have worn thin. You came here to live fully. And from the moment you dare to say no to the old, the door to the new begins to open. And if I told you that the one who hurt you the most was also the one who made you believe most deeply in true love? If I told you that what's holding you back isn't the pain, but the beauty of the memories you're afraid to turn into the past, Then hear me clearly now, Sagittarius. The past may have been beautiful, but it was never enough. You are a lover of memories. You can forgive a harsh word, but it's not so easy to release the gaze that once made your heart skip a beat. You don't hate anyone, but the truth is, you've never dared to admit some things that were once sacred are no longer enough for you to stay. Maybe those memories were once your shelter when life felt too cruel. The old photo you kept in a wooden box, the unsent message, the melody that played out of nowhere in a familiar cafe, and because they were beautiful, you mistook them for truth. But memories, no matter how beautiful, no longer nourish you. They do not teach you to love yourself. They do not teach you to say no when someone demands you shrink so they can rise. They do not help you soar. They only loop you back into the same circle you spent years trying to escape. You have loved, truly. And it is because you loved truly that letting go feels so hard. You are not someone who says goodbye lightly. You say stay, even when you're falling apart inside. You hold on, even when the other hand has gone cold. And you hope, even when there's not a single sign from the other side. But Sagittarius, love is not about holding on to what once shimmered. Love without freedom ceases to be love. It becomes confinement, nostalgia, the rope that tethers you to a forgotten station where the train left long ago and only the hum of the engine echoes in your heart. You owe the past no return. All you need to do is admit something simple. I have loved enough, and now it's time to live. If you cry, let your tears flow like a sacred river, washing away the times you thought you had to apologize just for growing up. You are not weak. You've just untied the knot, the one you looped around your own heart, believing you needed a tidy ending for someone else before you could move on. That feeling of, if everything was once this beautiful, why do I have to leave? But you forgot, you're not leaving because you are cold. You're leaving because you deserve something that doesn't need memory's permission to exist. You don't need someone to call to feel alive. You don't need a message to breathe. You don't need a happy ending to know you're on the right path. You once lit torches to help others find their way, and you forgot you needed light too. But that light is not behind you. It's up ahead, where you no longer have to strain to hold on to a bond whose soul slipped away long ago. And if someone asks you, why didn't you go back? Smile and answer softly, but with all the power in your truth. Because I once believed in it with all my heart, and that same heart is now guiding me somewhere new. If your heart slowed while listening to this, know that you are healing. And if your throat tightened, don't hold back the tears. Because you, Sagittarius, are not running from love. You are walking toward a love that's real. A love that doesn't ask you to hurt yourself just to hold on to what's already empty. You are no longer standing in between. No longer wavering between one step back or one step forward. For the first time in many seasons, you know, going back is betraying yourself. The silence you're holding is not a void, it is sacred space. A temple where you are piecing back together the parts of you once torn by duty, by memory, by kindness taken for granted. You are not cold. You once opened your heart. You once forgave. You once held on. But when every word has been said, every chance offered, and your heart, ever so gently, chooses not to step through the familiar door again, that is the most graceful ending you could offer the both of you. Some things do not need closure. Some bonds do not need a final conversation. All it takes is you walking away without the weight, and that is enough proof that you have returned to yourself. You've been hurt for putting others before yourself. You've stayed just to protect someone from pain if you left. You've written long messages only to delete them. You once hoped someone would understand you without needing you to explain. You once believed love meant enduring, accepting, waiting. But no. Love does not make you smaller. It does not silence your emotions. It does not ask you to trade inner peace for a presence built on conditions. Now, peace has returned, quiet as the night breeze, but strong enough for you to know you've chosen right. No more arguments. No more searching for reasons. No more fixing something that already chose to walk away. You did not collapse. You just came back to life. And you know something, Sagittarius. From the moment you dared to say, I choose me, I won't go back, the universe in its quiet mystery also began to choose you. No more repetition. No more clinging, only light ahead. And legs ready to fly. Thank you for listening to the very last breath of this journey. If your heart stirred, if something in you felt seen, know this was not a coincidence. Because you, Sagittarius, have been brave enough to face the truth, wise enough to release what was once beautiful but no longer right, and grown enough to choose yourself without asking permission from the past. This isn't just a message. It is a spiritual baptism, where your hands are no longer washed in the waters of regret, but in the light of true freedom. If something in this video spoke the words you never knew you needed, leave a sign below as a sacred confirmation that you are stepping into your new chapter. I have chosen myself, and I'm not looking back. Don't be afraid to share your thoughts or your story, because what you write might be the torch someone else needs while they're stumbling through the dark you once knew. Click like, subscribe to the channel, and send this video to someone you know needs a message like this, because maybe, just maybe, you are the guide they've been waiting for. Thank you, brave traveler, for choosing to love yourself and for believing in the kind of light that doesn't need applause to shine. We'll meet again on another path, a deeper soul layer, and an even freer version of who you were always meant to be.